right, it is 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call this meeting to order and note that we do have a quorum, and announce that this meeting of the Seguin Independent School District has been duly called and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. Mr. Jenkins is going to lead us in our pledges to the U.S. and Texas flags.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Right now, we'll take a bit of time for a moment of silence. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here. We have a pretty full house. This is exciting. I didn't expect many people to be here on a Tuesday in December. All right, we're going to start off with our superintendent announcements. Dr. Gutierrez.
Good evening, board members and Seguin ISD community. Great things continue to happen in Seguin ISD, and I'd like to share a few examples from around the district. 2 students earned top honors in the annual Seguin High School Science Fair contest. Historically, the event is a competitive one, and this year is no different. Rosemary Cramblett won first grand prize in physical sciences, mathematics for her project on Binford's Law. Kinley Rhodes took first grand prize in biological sciences for her aquaponics project. Congratulations to these students and others for earning the opportunity to compete at the Alamo Regional Junior Academy of Science on February the 2nd through the 3rd and the Alamo Regional Science and Engineering Fair on March 1st through the 3rd. Kimberly Copeland serves as a Seguin High School chemistry teacher and science fair coordinator. Members of the Seguin High School Matador Band performed in the TMEA 5A and 6A district and region auditions on November the 27th in San Antonio and New Braunfels. 31 Matadors earned a spot on the 5A district band, 18 students reached 5A region band, 7 received 5A region orchestra honors, and 10 advanced to the 5A area audition to be held in January. Keep up the great work, Matador Band. Stan Walden is our Director of Bands. During a public meeting held moments ago at 6 p.m., it was announced that Seguin ISD has received an A Superior Achievement Rating under the School Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, first per Texas Education Agency guidelines. Something to certainly be proud of. The Superior Achievement Rating is the state's highest, demonstrating the quality of Seguin ISD's financial management and reporting system. The district has earned this honor for 16 straight years since the program's inception. School First is a financial accountability system for Texas school districts developed by TEA in response to Senate Bill 875 during the 76th Texas legislative session in 1999. It also complies with amendments under House Bill 5, the 83rd Legislature, regular session 2013. The primary goal of School First is to achieve quality performance in the management of school districts' financial resources, a goal made more significant due to the complexity and accounting associated with Texas school finance systems. As you can imagine, we are very pleased with Seguin ISD School First rating, which shows that our district is making the most of taxpayers' dollars. This rating is proof that Seguin schools are accountable not only for student learning, but also for achieving a learning environment in a cost-effective, efficient manner with a focus on financial stewardship. Congratulations to our business department. this week wraps up numerous fine arts holiday concerts and performances from our elementary, middle schools, and our high school. I had the privilege to attend several and truly appreciate our talented students and their ability to share holiday spirit with everyone in attendance. I experienced this yet again this morning as I visited each of our elementary schools and Ball Early Childhood Center dressed up as Santa Claus. I'm not really sure who had most of the fun this morning, whether it was the students or whether it was me. But I can attest that our students were excited to have Santa Claus in their schools. I certainly appreciate the warm welcome that we received at each campus. I hope our school board, students, and staff, and the entire Matador family have a safe and restful Christmas and New Year. Blessed holidays to all, and I look forward to starting the new semester in January. Thank you all for your continued support of the Seguin ISD Matadors.
Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. And if you have a chance when you go home this evening, you might want to check out the Seguin ISD Facebook page. We have a video of Santa at each of the campuses. Is that correct, Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. Check it out. Moving on to our board member reports. Dr. Gutierrez mentioned a lot of holiday concerts. I attended a number of these, both choir and band. I attended an AJB theater show. The mariachi concert was wonderful. I was lucky enough to go out to Vogel to participate in coding during the week of code. And I've attended a few of the Lady Mats basketball games. I haven't made it to the men's yet. I don't really know why. Is there one tonight? Does anybody know? But it just seems like there's always a conflict, but I'm going to make it. Earlier this week, I was able to go out to McQueenie where they retired the U.S. flag. And I hope to go back out to McQueenie later this week for their holiday concert. Ms. Duncan.
Yes, bear with me. I've been to a lot of things since our last board meeting. One thing that was really exciting for me, along with Cindy Aguirre from KWD, we announced the holiday stroll parade that the city puts on. We got to announce the volleyball team and the football team as the parade marshals, and that was a highlight of the holidays for me to be able to do that. Also attended the Rodriguez and Kinnicky performance at the North Pole Stroll in Central Park. Attended a Lady Matador basketball game and the Breezemeister band concert. Did an hour of code at Kinnicky Elementary and then visited a robotics class at Jim Barnes Middle School. Fabulous things going on both of those campuses. And then after those were over, I went over to the high school, and some of those students are here this evening. I see you in the back. The Concert Opera Collective featured some of our high school students in the production of Amal and the Night Visitors. Bravo. I see you in the back there. Deep breath. I also want to thank everyone who came out to the KWD Holiday Food and Toy Drive. Dr. Gutierrez, Denise, thank you for coming out to that. That was a wonderful time. The volleyball team and the football team also helped us, and it was a great turnout. So thank you for your support of that we do every year. Also attended the SHS Choir Holiday Concert, the Elementary UIL Awards, Kinnicky's Holiday Program, and then I hightailed it over to the high school for the SHS Band Concert. And I'm almost finished. Did my district orientation on Friday and attended the Texas Theater production of the Best Christmas Pageant Ever on Saturday that featured some of our Seguin ISD students.
You've got a great memory. You wrote it all down.
I wrote it.
All right, Ms. Crittenden.
Let's see. I got to do the hour of code at Weinert Elementary. I was able to see the Weinert Choir perform 3 different times in 3 different places, including for the retired teachers. I know they enjoy that a lot. The Weinert Carnival, the KWD Food and Toy Drive, the Elementary UIL Awards, and then this morning the Barnes Choir came to visit Weinert, and it was wonderful because we got to hear the Barnes Choir, which was amazing, and the Weinert Choir sang for them, and we had a soloist, and when she sang, the Barnes kids were so excited to see an elementary student sing so well that they all just cheered in the back, and it was such a wonderful moment to see our schools support each other like that. So that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Amador.
Excuse me. I attended an hour of code at both McQueen and Jim Barnes, and I was I guess I wasn't surprised, but I was astounded that the kids knew as much as they did and they performed so well. I think they're wonderful people, they're students, and I think I can only expect something better. I also attended 2 meetings with the Guadalupe County Appraisal District, and I had a meeting also with the Facilities Committee.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins.
Let me disclose, I've had lots of conflicts this last month with work, but I did attend the Seguin Mariachi performance and was very moved by it. And if you haven't heard the mariachis, you need to get out and listen to them. They're amazing. So that was my one thing I've done this month.
And he's wearing a t-shirt to prove it, right? Okay.
And we had a little bit too much fun.
We had a lot of fun at the mariachi concert, yes. Ms. Moreno.
I attended, or on December the 4th, I had the privilege of going to my old stomping grounds of AJ Breezemeister, where teamwork makes breezy work. Yes. And I did an hour of coding with a fabulous young lady by the name of Kendall, who taught me so much in that 1 hour. And I am so amazed at the opportunities that our kids are having to be better students and excellent citizens in the years to come. On December the 6th, I attended a TEC training at Region 20. December the 7th, I was in all-day district training, and I mean all day. Let's just leave it at that. On December the 10th, I also was a part of the Mariachi holiday concert, and I don't know who was throwing gritos louder, whether it was Carl and his group or my husband and I, because it was a thoroughly an enjoyable event. So please take the time to listen to our mariachi groups. On December the 12th, I was at the UIL Awards Assembly. Job well done by the curriculum department. Very efficient, very well done. And the kids, I know, were having so much fun and so excited. You could feel the excitement. And that's it. I tried going to the Barnes Choir concert last night, but it was on Friday and not last night. The intent was there. I just missed the day. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Guerra. Good job.
I also attended the mariachi program, and I was very impressed with all the students and the performance. Attended the facilities committee on December 11th and kind of got caught up on all the work that they've been doing for the past several months. And as Glenda mentioned, both of us attended the lead trustee orientation to Texas Education Code on November the 6th over at Region 12 in San Antonio. And also on the 7th of December, we attended the Seguin ISD departmental overview for board members, where we met at least 6 or 7 different department heads, the leadership team for Dr. Gutierrez. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. So y'all can rest assured we're working hard, or we're playing hard in the evenings. I did want to mention with the UIL awards that were over at the PAC this year, I think it was a wonderful event. The kids were so excited, and I'm glad that we had it at the PAC. I had to park all the way across the street, in the church parking lot. There were so many cars there, so I hope to see it again there next year. So all of you that were involved in that, I see a lot of teachers out there that I know were involved in that. Please just take our thanks for all the hard work that you did for our students. All right, we're going to move on now to item 2A, which is our campus recognition presentation, and we're going to be recognizing Potlawn Elementary. And Mr. Jenkins is going to give y'all an introduction.
It is my pleasure to introduce the featured campus tonight, Potlawn Elementary School. Ms. Linda Guzman serves as principal at Potlawn, as she is here tonight, to share the Potlawn vision statement. Additionally, she'll show a video highlighting the Potlawn School Day, plus 2 students will express their thoughts on what it means to be a Potlawn Matador.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Gutierrez. I am so happy to be able to present our Potlawn Matador family. All our teachers are here, and I would like to quickly recognize them. First off, I have my superb leadership team right here in the front. We have our wonderful kinder team, our fabulous first grade team, our terrific second grade team, our amazing third grade team, our fantastic fourth grade team, our spectacular fifth grade team, and we have our marvelous specials team and glorious special services. Just to let you know, we start off the morning every day like that. Awesome. And we also, I can't forget, we also have a lot of our wonderful parents and students here. But I'd like to start our presentation with 2 of our Potlawn family members here to present their writings titled, What It Means to Be a Potlawn Matador. I also have a short video, and I hope you are able to see our love for our students and our hard work in having a school culture that is positive, inclusive, and welcoming. So please, welcome our 4th grade family member, Mario Jackson and Claire Spencer Dibble. You can do this, Mario. You can do it. There you go.
Do you know what school has teachers that push us so hard that I'm almost the smartest student in my class? Holland Elementary. The reason teachers that push us hard are my favorite is because they are the ones that make you smarter than what you learned in the past, and they always believe in you. First of all, you have to come to Potlawn because the minute you step into your classroom, you feel like the smartest person on earth. I am almost the smartest student in my class, and when I was in 3rd grade, I made the most points on both of my STAR tests in my class. Moving on, Ms. Gonzalez, my instructional coach, is my favorite because she comes in my class and makes sure I'm reading. And now I cannot stop reading, and I'm reading so much that I can finish my 217-page book in a day or 2. Now finally, Ms. Gamboa, my homeroom teacher, and Ms. Gonzalez make sure I do my best because they know I'm very smart. It's a fact that I've never gotten to see on my life and my report card. As you can tell, I love teachers that push you. I hope I have one every year that I am in school.
I look around at my classmates, talking, laughing, having a good time, and sharing. It is like a neighborhood. That is why Potlawn means community to me. First of all, we announce everyone's accomplishments in morning assembly. Plus, we have friendly competition to push us. For example, we have school-wide AR competition as one. It makes people overjoyed when they are called up for 25, 50, 100, or 150 coin club. It feels great to have all of Potlawn clapping for you. Most importantly, we get to learn how to act to one another and get to learn how to talk to people in the outside world. I don't mean to be offensive when I say this, but homeschool kids just don't act the same. Sometimes they just don't know the right volume. Potlawn doesn't let that happen, which is a benefit. Also, Potlawn doesn't let wrong kids get away with being wrong. If they do enough, they get a referral or even go to A school. Potlawn has good citizenship. As you can tell, Potlawn means community to me.
Great job, Claire and Mario. Y'all make it sound so exciting. I want to go back to elementary school.
Great job.
I just want to give them a high five. Is that?
Elementary is a school that strives every day to follow its mission. And the mission here at Potline is our vision is to establish a positive, inclusive, collaborative destination campus that is accessible to all. And so with that in mind, we as a team came together to make sure that is what we do.
So our attendances and our focus this year, we do weekly attendance club on Friday afternoons. We announce it every morning in assembly, and we congratulate and cheer for the classes with 100%. We do pizza parties for our classes, and we are currently #1 in the district. And you can see we've got 100% from yesterday, and you can see our daily averages. So we're really excited, and we're hoping that this will translate into better academics.
So what it means to be a Potline Matador. I was a Potline Matador 1st through 3rd grade in these very halls. So being able to come back to this campus and to be the counselor, it is truly special. I also grew up in this neighborhood, so I have a real connection with the students and the families. So being a Potline Matador is truly in my heart, and it's in these hallways every single day with our students and our faculty. It is just an amazing atmosphere that I wish everyone could come and enjoy every single day.
From the moment the children step onto our curb outside of Potline, they are welcomed because we are glad they are here. They walk into the doors and they're greeted by teachers, staff, welcoming them in, and just happy that they're here because learning is fun. And that's what we want our atmosphere, our climate here at Potline to be. They walk into the gym and they're greeted by more teachers, and as a family are able to say hi, good morning, and take a seat. And then the real excitement begins. We get ready to have a wonderful learning day.
Awesome. Okay, so today's club, so we really need to get into our classes, get ready to go, because there's lots of learning going on, and then toward the end, we will break into our clubs. Are we ready for our clubs? Awesome. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get ready, get our day started right. Get your throats clear.
So we go through our announcements, make sure that we are reminded of who Potline students are, because we are respectful, responsible, cooperative, safe, and most important, we're kind. After we do that, we celebrate our attendance, which is very important here at Potline. As we know, as children are here every day, they are learning. So we've made it our mission as well to make sure that we get every student here every day.
Yesterday our attendance was 97%.
Celebrate those 100% attendance days, and as a family, we cheer each other on because we know how difficult that can get. Then we move on to our counselor, and she gives a social skill lesson, which is very important because as a community, we need to be more aware of how we can be helpful and learn as we play.
Think about how you can be charitable here at school with your kind words to each other, okay? All right, guys, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.
At the end, we have our little motto. We work hard and we never give up. And we truly believe in that, and we want our students to believe in that. So at the end, we cheer each other on.
We are super Potline.
everything from the morning messages where they're able to share their feelings with their teachers and their classmates, to the read alouds where it extends their thinking and allows them to share their experiences as well, to everyday accomplishments of AR reading, multiplication math. Here we celebrate the whole child, their emotions, and their academic success.
Oh wow, tell me about this. 124%? Awesome. How did that make you feel? Good. Awesome. Way to never give up.
What Potluck means to me is family, because we are all being nice to each other and helping each other out, and we get to learn about math and science, and we get to write, and writing is my favorite, so that's why I love Potluck, and that's what it means to me. What I love about Potluck is that we get to write amazing stories and read amazing books in the library. He's a Potluck manager because they like learning how to read with Miss O'Neill. I'm a Potluck manager because I like to make friends. I'm a Potluck manager to make friends and read. I am a little mad so I can learn. He is a wolf pack because when we sing the Potluck Manager song, it always reminds me of that because we are like family. I think my Potluck Manager is math, because I'm very smart at math, and math is very important to me. What Potluck means to me, it means happiness, because people give happiness to each other, like your friends or your teachers. We all share happiness at the school.
We are the Matador family, exceptional students to exceptional citizens.
So as you can see, I was a Potluck Matador, so it was the Potluck Lions when I went there, and there was this really long song that I don't remember all the words, but the first verse, it went like this, and I'm not going to sing, don't worry. But it said, I'm proud of Potluck, we are a family, we work and play and study hard, we live in harmony. So I hope that we are still doing that at Potluck. I think it's awesome everything we're doing with our students and our staff. So we have one last thing for you. Every day we do our cheer, so we're going to end tonight with a cheer as well. So loud and proud, my Potluck family. On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Potluck staff, I have a really hard time articulating what I see when I start the day at that campus, but the two students did a really great job of really painting a picture of what it feels like when you're one of those morning meetings with your students. Not just then, but as soon as you walk into the campus. You can't teach anyone to have heart. You can't teach people how to build a culture. It really has to be something that is within you, and it's certainly within every single staff member who works with our students. And I'm just so proud of what you're doing for those students every single day. You are committed, you are dedicated, you go above and beyond, and you're getting results. And it's something that you should be proud of, and I wish we could bottle up what you're doing and sell it. But it's something to be proud of, and I encourage our trustees and the folks on my team, if you've not had an opportunity to go and start your day at Potluck, you need to. I can guarantee you'll have a great day, and I'm super proud of everything that you're doing for our students every single day, day in and day out. Thank you so much.
That's hard to follow. Okay. We're going to move on, though, to item 2B, which is our student, staff, board community recognition. This is where the board likes to take time to recognize positive student and staff-based accomplishments. So this evening, we're going to be taking a look at the Seguin High School Theater Arts students. So, Mr. Hoffman, you can introduce this.
Board President Thomas Jimenez, Superintendent Dr. Gutierrez, board members, and community. Tonight we are proud to recognize 10 members of the Seguin High School Theater Arts team. These are students who, back in November, traveled to Grapevine to compete in the Thespian Convention. These students, during their time there, were immersed in a world of the theater, competing in many different categories, and they attended a slew of workshops. So they learned a lot, competed a lot, and sounds like they had a great time there. As they performed, 10 were qualified to compete in the International Thespian Festival to be held in Nebraska this coming June 2019. So Lydia Robles is here. She oversees the Seguin High School Theater Department as the director. And I believe she will come up and introduce these 10 students by name. I think Dr. Gutierrez has something for them.
Hello. We're very happy to be here with you. And like he mentioned, these 10 students, they performed. And when you say performed, sometimes you think that only means acting on stage. But we also have one student who presented a technical theater. Gabby, come on up here. Gabby Medrano. So Gabby had to develop and present a presentation on her publicity from Wizard of Oz. And so she qualified for nationals within the technical theater IEs, which is really awesome. And so the rest are on their way. And these students that are coming up, I'm missing a few of them, but I don't need them. These students who are coming up, they performed a group musical number. It's from the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and it's called Pandemonium. And there are 10 students who've qualified for nationals, and 9 of them were a part of the group musical. So we have Jonah Riley, and Kaylee Bonenberger, Serenity DeLeon, Olivia Snediger. I always like to say Olivia's last name. John Blair, Jonathan Washington, Ellie Follis, and Seth Quartz. And we have Alana Darrow, who's not here with us, but she also qualified. And I made this incredibly difficult for you, Dr. Gutierrez. But these students, so when they go in, they are graded or assessed on numerous parts of their performance. And within the room, there are 3 judges who are grading these students. They're not allowed to talk to one another. They simply sit, watch the performance, and then they give it a rating. And you have to get at least superior from all 3, which is the highest rating in order to move on to the next level. And they did that. So yay!
The 10 tallest get right here. Not quite as tall as the tallest, stand in the front. We'll have Ms. Robles and Dr. Gutierrez on the other side. I'll just walk through that. Very good. It's like y'all have done this before. I broke it though.
Okay, we'll look to the center and then to the right. Center.
Right on 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, and 3.
To the right. Thank you all.
Congratulations to all of you, and I've been to that thespian convention, and it is not easy to get this type of recognition, all from one campus. So Ms. Robles, I think a lot of that has to do with your leadership. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Gutierrez will be now awarding his Superintendent's Leadership Award.
This is always a highlight every month, to be able to honor and recognize an individual who really gives so much to our students and really is an exemplar of carrying out our mission every single day. So tonight it's a special privilege to recognize an individual who makes a tremendous impact on students day in and day out. The purpose of the Superintendent Award is to recognize those who cultivate, inspire, and empower. And this educator sets this example through their interactions with students and the support of their fellow educators. This month's Superintendent Award recipient cultivates students' minds in their role as a teacher. This individual inspires them to work hard and excel in the classroom by setting high expectations for student learning. As the lead content teacher at AJB Middle School, this lead teacher empowers fellow teachers and encourages them to set higher standards for student learning. Tonight's recipient serves as an exemplar of cultivating, inspiring, and empowering her students. Anytime you encounter Mrs. Danielle Springfield, you are met with a smile on her face and know right away that she has the utmost love for her children and their learning. She takes student learning and instructional strategies so serious that she practices her lessons with her husband, who is here with us tonight. She practices those lessons with her husband before delivering the content to her students. Over Danielle Springfield's time in education, she has earned the respect of her students, parents, peers, and administrators through her outstanding teaching ability and leadership skills. She serves as the math department head and on the campus leadership team. Mrs. Springfield plays a vital role in the transformation that is taking place at A.J. Breezemeister Middle School.
I think she was surprised, yes. You've got some good friends there. I kept that secret. All right. Well, after that, everybody decompress. Moving on to item 3, which is audience with the board, and we designated time for audience participation at the beginning of each meeting to hear persons who desire to make comments in accordance with board policy BED local. So those wishing to speak shall sign up before the meeting, begin stating the concern or noting the agenda item they wish to address. Audience participation is limited to 5 minutes. Audience of more than 5 persons shall appoint a representative, and the board shall not deliberate any subject that is not on the posted agenda. And we do have someone who is visiting with us tonight, and that is, she is from the Starlight Autism Center, and she'd like to talk to us about, just to introduce the Autism Center and request partial use of staggered offices. So come on up. So turn that microphone around.
Okay. Good evening, board. Hi, Superintendent. Thank you for having me. It's my first time here at a board meeting, so this is new to me. So, first of all, I wanted to introduce myself as Christina Barton. I'm president of Seguin Autism Support Group, and for the past 7 years. And I've been with our organization. We've been trying to support all the families with special needs children in the district, and it's been an uphill, I don't want to say battle, but it's been an uphill challenge over the past 7 years. But we get phone calls on a daily basis from parents that are concerned, parents that have problems with behavior issues, not just with their autistic children, but we get phone calls from parents with children with other disabilities as well. And unfortunately, we're probably the only resource here in Seguin and in the surrounding area that they can reach out to. So every time we get a phone call, it pains me that we couldn't do more as a small organization, and we've been trying over several years to get more resources out here in order to meet the needs of the parents in the district. There are 777 special education students in this district. And if we're such a small organization as of only myself and 2 other parents that try and help address the needs of the parents in this district, it's very overwhelming. So we have reached out to the surrounding area, San Antonio, New Braunfels, and fortunately we have found a resource that we hope, we're trying to make it happen, and with your support, we've come here today. I have brought Mr. Ron Palmer, he's president of the Starlight Autism Center, and we have very high aspirations in opening a center here in Seguin in 2019. And we're asking the district for some help. So with that, I'm going to leave you with Mr. Ron Palmer. He's the president of Starlight Autism Center. And also we have Nadia Martinez. She's the secretary of Starlight, and Betty Fitzsimmons, a board member. So I'll let you. Thank you.
All right, I'm giving myself a time limit right here. Okay, how's everybody doing? I'm motivated because I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm an Army veteran, and I'm also a motivational speaker. I usually have to tone myself down, but with all the great kids behind me, I can just be myself today. All right, I was going to go through the slides, but this is the basic needs. That I was in the Army full time. My son was diagnosed with autism, and I didn't have the need. I didn't know what to do, and so I had started a love affair with my baby, and so I just went to school and I learned how to love him. I came out with a master's degree in counseling, and then this was not on purpose. It was for me to love my little boy. I realized I was good at helping other children, and then I went from seeing 30 kids and 30 people a week to 40, and now I'm up to 60 people a week. I can't help everybody. And so as I go and educate people, I have multiple kids here at Seguin. One of the reasons I chose Seguin first is what just happened today. I can't explain it any better. When we talk about, I have some problems with some schools with understanding what that looks like. And so here's the proposal. The market is that we're going to open up an autism center here in Seguin. The nonprofit entity, yes. The nonprofit entity in that, 1 minute left, 1 minute go. 1 minute left? Okay. The nonprofit entity is here to connect with those things, bringing job opportunities and things and resources for the families. All we need, we know there's a need here, and so if it's something that you want, then you need to let us know, and then we'll continue with the plan that we're formulating to make it happen. We have a lot of partners willing to jump on board to help us. A lot of people are very excited to have made it happen. but the inclusiveness, like this little boy running around here. This is what I love about Seguin, that we love our kids first, and y'all love your kids first. And I want to make sure we bring that to all kids. And you don't need to be sorry, you know, there's nothing but parents and educators in here. And don't even chase me, run around. But when I deal with my kids in the spectrum, this is what it's like for most of them. They're running around, so we want to bring psychological services, counseling service, all of it. So if any questions for you, from you, I should say.
Not at this time, but I appreciate you bringing this to us. We'll think about it and talk about it at a later time. We'll get back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 4, closed session. We're going to need to go into closed session. Okay, for a few minutes. So the board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Sections 551.071, 551.074, 551.121 of the Texas Government Code. And this is consultation with legal counsel, including possible telephone consultation with legal counsel as necessary to address legal concerns, implications, and answer any legal questions regarding posted agenda items. And item B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, to discuss personnel matters, including appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of an employee. So we'll go into closed session at 7:17. Okay, we are going to reconvene. It is now 7:32, and we're going to move on to item 6. We have one information item, and that's proclamation of the 2019 Steering Committee and Adoption Guidelines. And it looks like Allison's walking this way. Okay.
It's a big crowd. So good evening, Board President Thomas Jimenez, the school board, and Dr. Gutierrez. My name is Allison Williman, and I'm the secondary ELAR coordinator, and I'm the facilitator for the Proclamation 2019 process. With me also is Andrea Jaramillo, the multilingual and elementary ELAR coordinator, and she's also helping with this process. Can you go to the next slide, please? The State Board of Education creates an adoption cycle for core contents to ensure that instructional materials are reviewed once every 8 years. The process begins when the State Board of Education revises or adopts new Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. Proclamation 2019 was issued in April 2017 and amended in April 2018 and aligns with the new TEKS for English Language Arts and Reading and Spanish Language Arts and Reading, kindergarten through 8th grade, which go into effect next school year, 2019-2020. Next slide, please. To be eligible for adoption in Seguin ISD, instructional materials submitted for consideration need to be 100% TEKS aligned and 100% English Language Proficiency Standards, or ELPS, aligned. Instructional materials are submitted to a state review panel to determine the alignment to the TEKS and ELPS, as well as identify any factual errors. And up for adoption this year is our instructional materials for English Language Arts and Reading, grades K through 8, Spanish Language Arts and Reading, grades K through 6, spelling, grades 1 through 6 in English and in Spanish, handwriting, kindergarten through 5th grade in English and in Spanish, English Learners Language Arts class, grades 7 and 8, and Personal Financial Literacy, which is a high school social studies course. To make the selection, 2 different committees are formed, the Steering Committee and the Teacher Committee. The Steering Committee is comprised of central office staff who oversee the areas under adoption. They review the nominations and selections of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee. The Steering Committee oversees and organizes the Publisher Showcase and Teacher Committee meetings. Lastly, they support teachers and other stakeholders regarding any questions they have concerning the adoption process. Members of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee are teachers who are nominated by their campus principals. Teachers who serve on the committee are experienced master teachers from the discipline or subject area from which the instructional materials are being adopted. Members of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee will be responsible for submitting in writing final adoption recommendations in each corresponding subject area. Curriculum coordinators within the corresponding subject area will assist members of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee with all related instructional material adoption tasks and responsibilities. Principals submitted nominations in November, and the orientation for the selected teachers were held on December 10th. We will meet again in January and February to review the district instructional materials evaluation rubric, and the teachers will use this tool as they evaluate the materials. On February 23rd, we will host a publisher showcase for teacher committee members as well as all other stakeholders to preview the materials. The teachers will then evaluate the materials and reach an agreement as to the recommended materials. In March, the steering committee will meet to review the recommendation, then present the recommendation to the DEIC in April, and finally, we will present our recommendation to you, the school board, in May. Are there any questions?
How many teachers from each campus are on the teacher committee?
For our monolingual lingual campuses, there are 2 representatives, K through 2nd grade, and then a 3rd through 5th grade. And then for our dual language campuses, we have 4. So we have 2 kindergarten through 2nd grade that represent both English and Spanish, and then again the same for 3rd through 5th grade. At the middle school level, we have both of the L teachers from each campus, as well as a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade representative. We also have 2 representatives from the high school for the social studies.
Okay.
Is that the first, how many years have they had that personal financial literacy?
This is the 2nd year that we've offered the course. It's a course that's required to be offered by the state, but we haven't actually had students sign up for it.
Is it a semester-long course?
It is, I believe, a semester-long course. Yes, it's an elective, but I think this is the 2nd full year of required to offer the course.
Required to offer, but nobody has taken it.
It's a new elective course, so yes, but and again, we haven't had instructional materials for it, so we're hoping with the instructional materials and to be able to push that.
So the state mandated that we offer it?
Yes, ma'am.
But didn't have the materials for
Yes,
it?
ma'am. We're very excited to have these as part of the upcoming adoptions.
I don't think that's that uncommon.
Materials available for the course.
And is there a teacher for that particular subject?
Because it's an elective course, it can be open with the social studies certification, so we would have to do it.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. All right, moving on to item 7, which are our consent agenda items. Policy B, local states of the consent agenda shall include items of a routine and/or recurring nature grouped together under one action item. All such items shall be acted on by one vote without separate discussion unless a board member requests that an item be withdrawn for individual consideration. The remaining items shall be adopted under a single motion and vote as applicable. So this evening in our consent agenda items, we have approval of board minutes, special meeting minutes. Those are from November 16th, 2018, the regular meeting minutes, November 27th, 2018. The approval of tax collection reports for November 2018, and the approval of donations received in November 2018. Does anybody want to see any of those items pulled? If not, do I hear a motion to approve? Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Jenkins. Do I hear a second? A second from Mr. Amador. No further questions. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to our action items. First, we have the possible approval of proposed budget amendments and financial statements for November 2018, and Mr. Hilberg again. He's going to kind of walk y'all through this. Usually this is in the consent agenda items, but since so many of you are new to the board, we thought it might be a good idea for Mr. Hilberg to kind of, I guess, explain some of the finer details.
Right,
So,
yes. Thank you, President Jimenez and Superintendent Gutierrez, members of the board. I just would like to, and I'll try to keep this brief, but I do also want to open it up to questions. The district financial statements don't really follow what you would typically expect to see in a financial statement if you're a sole proprietor or business owner or person that's looked at property or at P&L statements or balance sheets. And so for that reason, I wanted to go through just a little bit of what these reports mean. And what makes this particularly more complex right now is the addition of the qualified zone academy bonds. And as we discussed at our the board meeting where the audit was reported, you noticed how the QZAB, the acronym for Qualified Zone Academy Bonds, that was rolled into your general operating fund. And so when you do that, and that's a requirement from the Texas Department, TEA rather, when you do that, it kind of muddies the water, because what happens after the first year of a bond issue, one that's not required to be through your debt service fund, such as QZAP, is in the initial year you have all the proceeds coming in as revenue. And if you were to spend all of those proceeds in that same year, then your revenue would match your expenditures for the year and everything would be fine. It wouldn't be all that complicated. But that's not the case most of the time, and it's not the case with the QZAP bonds. QZAP bonds were executed in October of 2016, and even to date now, here in 2018, we're still sitting on about $900,000 worth of those original $10 million of proceeds. And so what that means is, in 2016, 2017, in the way TEA requires us to show the formal general operating fund, all 10 million of that QZAP money came in as revenue in 2016, 2017. We spent a little bit of it, but hardly anywhere close to 10 million. Again in 17, 18, and now here in 19 or 18, 19, we're still spending some of that money, but we have no offsetting revenue. So, for example, in 16 or in 17, 18 school year, we spent about $5 million of QZAP proceeds, but there was no offsetting revenue because it was all reflected in that initial year of the sale. And so the reason I go into that level of detail is because for that very reason, what we have done is not required by the state, but it helps you as a user, as a reader. We've given you, what you're looking at right now is the general operating fund, and in parentheses it says combined with QZAP. Now when you act as a board and you approve of your monthly financial statements consisting of 3 funds, the general operating fund, the child nutrition fund, and the debt service fund, you are acting on this statement. The other 2 statements that are associated with this statement are called, and Mr. Lewis is scrolling up, but go ahead to the header if you would, yes. It says general operating fund excluding QZAP. That's not a requirement from the state. It's simply, I'm taking all of QZAP associated funds out. So that first statement that you saw, that's the one you're acting on. That's the way TEA wants it. But that includes QZAP and general operating fund. This one is just your general operating fund. It's only your tax dollars that are being collected right now and the spending of those tax dollars. It's only your state funding that's coming in and the spending of those state funded dollars. So this is your operational statement as you would expect to see it if you did not have the QZAP proceeds, or in this case, the QZAP expenditures of those proceeds. Okay? And so if you scroll up to the next one, Mr. Lewis, please. That one is, I think we're going to change the title of it because it says Qualified Zone Academy Bonds, QZAP, but really it should say, to be consistent with the statement prior, it should say General Operating Fund, and in parentheses, Qualified Zone Academy Bonds only, because it's part of the combined statement that I was discussing, that first combined statement. This is just your QZAP funds, and it really illustrates what I'm talking about, because that top section right there, all the way across, you see very little money coming in. The section green is your budget. We didn't budget any money to be coming in for QZAP. We don't have any money coming in. Well, we do have a little bit. It's going to be the interest earnings on the proceeds that we're sitting on. So in the actual columns, over to the right, in orange or beige, you can see that to date, you've earned, in reality, even though we didn't budget any revenue, you've actually earned $13,000 in interest earnings so far this year. Conversely, you can see that you've spent just below that line, and if you'll scroll down even further, Mr. Lewis, you can see that you've spent to date this year, I believe that shows 800, and I can't read that from here. So.
894.
Yeah, 894,000 has been spent. So that really helps illustrate why we need to pull that out so you can see what's happening in your general operating fund alone. So now if you scroll over maybe to the left And you'll also see that something that's peculiar to school districts is the way they break out the expenditures. They do that by categories that are unfamiliar to most financial statement readers. I don't think there, other than a school district, a category called instruction, or instructional resources, curriculum and instruction, instructional leadership. Those are things that are familiar to educators, but not so much most financial statement, those who would look at that. You would expect to see things like salaries, contracted services, supplies, things like that. Well, what's happened is TEA has mandated all of this, and in, for example, that first expense category of instruction, it's a function 11, that's dictated by TEA. There are salaries within instruction. There are benefits within instruction. There are supplies within instruction. Because instruction by TEA's standard, it involves any activity that deals directly with the interaction between teachers and students. So anything that is associated with direct contact with a student is going to go through function 11, regardless of whether it's a wage or something else. And so the same applies to all those other categories there. That's the way TEA requires it. So that's why we have to show it that way. And that's why we have to bring it to the school board each month this way. So, Mr. Lewis, let's stay on this particular statement, but if you don't mind, if you could just scroll up to the top of it so we can see the beginning. Yeah. Now, all I want to do is just quickly go from left to right. Most of this is self-explanatory, but if we're going to go through this process, let's just go through it in enough detail that you maybe, I'm answering some questions that you may not feel like asking, but at least we're addressing it. So you can see the header for budget. All of that is in green, and then the far right column in green, that's where we currently stand with the budget. And remember, this particular statement that we're looking at is just QZAP, but the same applies to all the other statements that are presented to you. So in this case, okay, so we can take this one here. I'm not sure which one we're looking at now. This is excluding QZAP, so we're looking at just the general operating fund. So I still want to look at that header, just a little, there you go. So you can see to the far left, you've got your revenues and you got your expenses. They're all listed in detail, the very first column on the left. That was the original adopted budget for the beginning of the year, and that will never change. That will stay the same throughout the entire year. That's going to give you the opportunity to see how has the budget changed from the time we initially adopted it as a board to the end of the year. And I can assure you that we'll always change. Never has there been a budget that never changed at all. And the reason for that I'll talk about as we go into these next few columns. In this case, we're looking at the November financial statement. And so that second column that says amended budget, just above it, you see November 1st, 2018. What that's basically saying is up until the beginning of this month, that was the amended budget. So you have your adopted budget from July 1. You had made some adjustments that you had approved throughout the course of the year up through August 30 or October 31st. And so you had an ending amended budget, a new amended budget. That becomes your beginning amended budget for the month of November, right? Your ending for October, it's your new beginning for November. So that's what that column represents. Then now you want to know what happened during the month. What budget amendments were necessary throughout the course of the month. That's actually broken up in two columns under the proposed amendments. The first one there are programmatic changes. Now those are going to be things that will actually adjust your budget. Perhaps there's a categorical line item that has to be pushed up. It could be that there is new information that has come through and the district is going to receive materially more money associated with tax collections. Property values are coming in, the appraisals are, they're being contested, but now they're coming in, the settle-ups are coming in higher. Mr. Amador, I'm sure you know all about this. But as that happens, It might be because it's such a material amount that we want to increase our revenue. Well, that's going to overall increase your budget, and that's a great thing on the revenue side. Not always such a great thing on the expenditure side, but it actually happens more often on the expenditure side than it does on the revenue side. And that could be attributed to something like you've got an unanticipated spike in gas or electric costs, things of that nature, and you have to push that expenditure budget up. You don't have any choice. So that could happen. But then the next column is your balance neutral column. One note on that programmatic column is that anytime we make an adjustment like that, we're always going to explain to you in the pages in between each statement, each official statement, there would be a descriptor. What was it that made up the need for that programmatic change? And we'll give you a description. And it'll, if it's 5 things, we'll list all 5 of them. If it's just one thing, then that's all that will be listed. But now on the balance neutral column, what that is movement of money. It does not change your overall budget. And if you'll scroll down, Mr. Lewis, to the bottom of just that one there, you'll see on that balance neutral column, the subtotal is 0. So they've moved money from one category to another. It could be in a given department that they're moving. And as I mentioned earlier, things like supplies might be associated with instruction, but they can also be associated with any of those other categories. So an individual department or even a campus, a group of campuses, they may need to move some money. It's still associated with things they thought it would be associated with, but that categorical change from the function level is going to change. And so it's just a reclassification, but it does not change their overall budget. The amount they will spend overall will not change. If there's anything like that, which that's typically what we have, there will be no additional descriptors because you get into some real minutia there, and we have that information available, and if a board member or the board as a whole would like that information, we're happy to provide it. But typically, districts don't provide that level of detail because it's just inconsequential. It doesn't change anything at the end of the day. So now if you'll scroll up just a little bit, and I'll try to be brief with the rest of this. We'll move through this. Just up to the headers again, please, Mr. Lewis. And so now you see, as you take your beginning balance, which was your amended budget at November 1st, those 2 columns together actually are your activity for your budget activity for the month of November. And so when you apply that to your beginning budget balance, you get the new amended budget for November 30th, and that's the column in green. But again, what I want to make sure, and what's easy to misunderstand is that is just the budget. It's not real dollars. It's just saying that for this category, you have this much money that you expect to earn, if it's revenue, or this much money that you can spend. And we have internal controls in place that prevent anyone spending anything beyond what the expenditure allows. We can control that to a degree, unless it's for something like I said, which is out of our control, spike in electricity or things of that nature. But on the revenue side, that you can go over budget on your revenue. That's actually a good thing, right? You want more revenue. And we don't often adjust revenue for that purpose. It's not necessary, but sometimes we do. So, but again, those are just budgetary numbers. The next 2 columns, similar to what was happening in your budget, we're reading November 1st, year to date. That's where your actual dollars were spent. That first white column after the green one, after the budget. Now you're into your actual activity. This is at the beginning of the month, your year-to-date activity. And then you see your current month activity. That's just what happened only in the month of November, so that you get your ending year-to-date activity as of November 30th. And that's what really gets applied to your green bar, the budget. Okay, so your orange bar compared to the budget in green, the difference between the two is what results in that budget remaining column. That's how much you have left at the end of the year. Now, something I also want to mention is that school districts don't get all of their money evenly throughout the course of the year. We have 2 primary means of receiving dollars. That's going to be through tax collections, which happen for the most part between really primarily November, but even more so December through about March. We're trailing off. So just a few months of a lot of money coming in from tax collections, just December, January, February, and a little bit in March. And so you got about 60% of your budget coming in that short amount of time. So it's going to look like, wow, we're doing great. We're not spending anywhere near how much we're coming in. But you have to look at it on an annual basis. What's going to happen by the end of the year? Because we know we're going to have expenses. They do happen all year long. Same thing with federal or state funding. State funding kicks in right about when the state has this figured out. They know when you're going to get your tax collections, and they know they don't need to send you their money. They're going to sit on it as long as they can so they can collect interest on it. So the other 40% of our budget, we don't even start seeing it until April. So we actually, a lot of times in March, take a real hit because we might not have any tax collections or very little, and we're not getting any state funding either. And so sometimes you'll see for that current month activity, it looks like, wow, we spent a lot of money, we didn't get anything in. But that's just the way districts work. So that's the cash flow side of it. And we track that every single day. We're tracking that. So as you scroll down, we're almost done, I promise. But I just want to make sure that you guys have a good understanding of what we're looking at when you're approving this each month. So as you look at the disclosures down at the bottom here, I'm kind of helping you to see, and all of this ties back up to the numbers at the top, but what I'm trying to help you see is where we anticipate fund balance will be by the end of the year. And we're really talking about unassigned fund balance, and there's reasons for that. But those are dollars that you have some discretion over, and you can do some things with those dollars. You really don't want to do it until you have the money in your hand, right? But you do want to know, where do we think we're going to end up at the end of the year? Because it's kind of hard to tell based on the cash flow I just discussed. It's kind of hard to tell on any given month. So we annualize that for you and then disclose it here. But there are also some things that we need to make sure you're aware of. So on the right of that lower column there, I'm reminding you of some things that you have approved and said, yes, we want to spend these dollars, but they're fund balance funded. They're not funded by revenue coming from tax collections for this year. They're not funded by state funding that's coming in this year. They're funded by the fund balance. And so as we move forward, I'll continue to disclose that stuff to you should there be additional items. But up to this point in time, the things that were approved back in June for this year to use fund balance, you can see that $1.1 million. And so we apply that, and we also run a little financial test just to make sure that our fund balance is at the level that it needs to be. Now, we only do this disclosure for your general operating fund, and we obviously only do it for the statement that's your general operating fund only. It wouldn't make sense to try to do this if it was inclusive of QZAP, as you know, for the reasons that I've discussed. So that's how the financial statements are read, and that's what the information means. You can take that same analysis or same discussion, all that, and it applies to each of the other funds that are disclosed each month. Again, your debt service fund and your child nutrition fund, they read the same way, and they're broken out exactly the same way. Each of them have a little bit different disclosure at the bottom, so I would like to make sure that just take a look at that. It really doesn't ever change. So reading that disclosure once in a while, you'll be reminded, okay, I see what that means. Aside from that, that's everything that I really wanted to present. Scroll up, Mr. Lewis, if you would, just to that section that shows right before that, right here. If there were any budget amendments that required disclosure to you, as I mentioned, they would be in that programmatic column. Those would be listed right here. Quantified, listed, described, and that's what you would be acting on. Okay, so that was that as fun for y'all as it was?
Are there any questions? No questions? All right, I think Mr. Hilberg is asking for approval of the proposed budget amendments and financial statements for November 2018. Do I hear a motion? Motion from Mr. Amador. Do I hear a second? Second from Ms. Crittenden. Any questions at all? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7. Oh, thank you. All right, moving on to item 8 B, which is approval for technology expenditures. Mr. Lewis, can you tell us what you're buying?
President Jimenez, Board, Dr. Gutierrez, this is just anytime you go over a certain amount, you need to get board approval, and so these are pretty routine purchases. We're in the process of replacing some projectors that are at the 10-year mark, and so these are kind of routine purchases as far as projectors, PCs, and then a couple of laptop carts that were requested from campuses. So I'll answer any questions if need be.
Move to approve the technology expenditures.
Okay, I have a motion for approval. Do I hear a second? A second from Mr. Guetta. Any questions at all? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. And Ms. Moreno, just for your reference, a computer cart, they're called a COW, computers on wheels. So, we call them WOWs at the hospital. What was it? What does the first W stand for? Workstation on wheels. Okay. Wows, cows. Okay. And moving on to our last action item, which is personnel action for professional employees. Ms. Whitman.
Good evening, President Jimenez, Dr. Gutierrez, members of the board. Tonight we are bringing 2 elections forward for your recommendation. Christy Hilton is being recommended for the College and Career Readiness position at AJB. That teacher is leaving that semester, and I think I've added that in the update. And Joanne Holiday is finally being released from Schertz from Clemens High School. She's a math guru there. She will be taking Tori Burton-Eagle's position as the testing and data analysis coordinator for the high school. So we're excited to bring both of those folks on board. And then the resignations listed below, and you could see the reasonings for each recommendation. One of the things I brought back from TASPA this week, talking to Dr. Gutierrez statewide, is a lot of districts are seeing a higher unusual number of resignations at semester. So it seemed like we were seeing Seguin all over the state at this conference, because some of the same issues that we're facing here, a lot of the HR folks statewide are seeing the same thing for various reasons. So as far as any questions on the resignations, we try to put as much detailed information that we could on the reasons that they give us, but I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Yes, Mr. Jenkins.
Where are we at percentage-wise this year as opposed to last year on the amount of resignations?
We'll probably have a few more this year. I'd have to go back and compare numbers. I can do that, but I think I'm seeing a few more this year. We always have some last minute. This is not unusual. Probably the number's a little bit higher right now. And a lot of it comes down to health. We're seeing a lot of health reasons coming through. Some of the relocations we can't help with spouses moving or things like that, but a lot of the health reasons I think are increasing. We have a couple of vacancies still left at both middle schools for special education behavior, which is also very difficult to find, so we're actively posting for that and interviewing. So those are the 2 positions that are still vacant. And some of the other ones I put in the update, we're finishing out with certified teachers or certified long-term subs, like at Vogel for the 5th grade bilingual position, and at 3rd grade Rodriguez.
It's just concerning to me that we still have a high percentage of turnover compared to last year. Would like to see that. I'd like to see that percentage lower.
Absolutely. So I'll look to see what we looked at last December.
It does seem to be a new trend, I think. I can remember for when I was teaching, nobody would dare resign in the middle of the year. Yeah, you felt like you were bound to a contract, but
and
things have
contracts
changed.
they stand, but the steps that you have to take to hold back a contract or to deny with the state, it's not worth it, and the state will usually look and err on the side of the employee. If they can say medical or if they can say finances, they're not gonna hold the certificate. So they don't want to be with us, and we'll find some folks that do, but we can definitely look at the comparisons.
All right, so I believe Ms. Whitman is asking us to accept and acknowledge Ms. Christy Hilton for AJB Middle School, Joanne Holiday for Seguin High School, and to accept the resignations as listed. Do I hear a motion? Mr. Almador moves for
Second.
adoption. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Duncan, any further questions? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Hopefully we can fill those positions. It's going to be tough. For board comments and requests, I just want to remind everyone we do have a Team of 8 training tomorrow. And we've been assured it will be 3 hours. So I think Ms. Crittenden said she may be running late, so we're not going to sit and wait for you. We're just going to move forward. We'll catch you up. We'll catch you up. And then we have another board training January. Nancy, do you know that date off the top of your head? Is it the 10th? 11th? 15th?
Oh, it's the summit.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
The XG Summit is the 10th and the 11th.
That following Tuesday.
And then the following Tuesday, okay, so that's January 15th.
Board workshop.
Board workshop. And Nancy had left all of us some paperwork on the winter governance, so please check yes or no and give that to her tonight. And that's all I had. Does anybody else have any requests or comments?
Just a clarification. If someone comes before us in the 5 minutes to speak, is that considered that we will revisit that request?
Usually, I think superintendent and I will talk, the board president will talk about it and decide if we're going to need to bring that forward and have somebody on the staff take a look at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, Dr. Gutierrez, nothing?
Just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope that you have some quality time with family and friends over the next few weeks, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2019.
And you as well, and staff, y'all need a break, so enjoy your, is it 2 weeks? Solid 2 weeks? Okay, enjoy that time.
Back.
I'm sorry?
And come back.
Yeah, please come back. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion. Anybody want to second that? Mr. Jenkins, all in favor, raise your right hand. And we are out of here at 11:07.